welcome to the Good Talk Podcast, where we remind you of the joy of life, the love of God, and the possibilities that lie ahead. Episode 74, Pete and Jordyn here.
4 things to overcome when trying something new.
Ooh.
I like it.
I'm excited about it, because we're always trying new things.
Yeah, I like how you put it earlier. We were in the kitchen and you said I love this topic because trying something new insinuates growth. And that's what we're passionate about is growth. And so I think it's just a good thing to kind of keep top of mind, and also just like a challenge to people to like just keep trying new things. And I love it.
Yeah, I there's no doubt trying new things, whether it's new things in your career or new hobbies in your social life or new things in your marriage, new things with your kid. Like, that's where the growth is at.
Yeah.
And yet most people allow their fear of trying something new to keep them. And so this is a super practical podcast where I'm going to kind of walk through 4 questions that you need to answer if you genuinely want to try something new and you want to be successful at that new thing.
Yeah. And the questions are things that you almost have to just be okay with before you even start.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not like, oh, yes or no. It's maybe a yes or no for you, but at the same time, it's more of like hey, you're going to have to be okay with these 4 things. And sometimes having that in the forefront of your mind before you start those things actually helps you to tackle them. So
for sure. And speaking of new things, we have some new decor for those of you watching on YouTube that can see this. Wow, even though it's the beginning of September, actually it's mid-September now. Halloween decorations are going up.
Yeah, I know I'm like way early. Technically, if I'm admitting everything, I put this up like 4 days ago. He was gone at a football game. And so I was like, I'm taking full advantage of no one being here and judging me for putting this stuff up. But it just makes me feel good. You know, like I get it. People are like, let every season have its moment. Like, don't celebrate it too soon. But
summer has had its moment. Summer has come and gone.
We are done with summer. So done. So that's really me like manifesting the fall to come in.
Yes.
But yeah, I just love it. I just feel like if it makes you happy, then why not? And seeing Pepper's face, and she's only 1. I didn't expect her to even notice it. And she every time just like stares up at it and smiles. She waves at her skeletons like as if they're people, which is really creepy now that I think about that. Yeah. But yeah, it's fun.
She loves it. And football season's kicked off. I mean, we've been in high school football now for over a month, but Titans played for the first time this past week. We lost. Same old, same old.
UGA played. We won.
Same old, same old.
No, it's not same old, same old. It's not. But I'm pumped. I love this season. It just energizes me. The cool, crisp mornings we've had just like give me so much life. So I'm really grateful that we're.
And I won my fantasy football game this week.
Did you? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's huge because I think last season only won 2 games all year. So I'm already looking good this year.
Killing it. I love it.
Just killing it. All right. You want to dive into this?
Yeah.
All right. So we're talking about this whole idea again of, trying something new. Yeah, just trying new things. And so have you tried anything new lately?
Kind of. I've tried a couple new things. I didn't finish it. I've started trying to do this like art it's called textured art. And you basically have a canvas and take plaster or like some kind of plaster like compound, and you have these like tools that create shapes on this plaster.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of what you had done.
Why are you laughing? Hey,
are we gonna hang that up?
No, it's just draft 1. Don't compare your rough draft to someone else's final product, Pete Wilson. I am still in my rough draft phase here, learning, but it's fun. It's like it just feels very like therapeutic to wave a texture through this plaster. Anyway, I am still very much learning, but that is one thing I've tried lately. And then my other thing I've like tried lately, and I emphasis on the try, is reels.
Yeah.
We've talked about that a lot on this podcast, and you guys are like, we don't care about reels. It's so like all consuming because Instagram totally changed everything, and that's all they care about now. So we're both like practicing it, and it's such a like trial and error dumpster fire, honestly, but it's been fun to try too.
Yeah.
It makes you grow.
That's good. Yeah. And I love the way you have a real energy around trying new things. You enjoy it.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah. I think that's cool.
You do too. What are the things you've tried?
This is what actually kind of brought this up to me is recently, not that long ago, a couple months ago, I played pickleball for the first time.
Yeah. You loved it.
And I did, but the whole time I was playing, I felt very uncomfortable. I felt very self-conscious, like,
Yeah.
am I doing this right? It's like, it was fun, but I also totally wanted to quit, right? I grew up playing tennis and did that in high school and college. I love tennis, but I understand the game of tennis, right? I understand all the rules. I know where to stand. I know the equipment. And then all of a sudden in pickleball, you would think, well, if you're good at tennis, you'll be good at pickleball. Not necessarily. Like, it is a totally different sport. It's got a different strategy, different equipment. The way you hit the ball is different. Where you stand, the whole thing is totally different. So I felt a lot more uncomfortable and a lot more self-conscious than I thought I was going to feel. And so I just was trying to figure it all out. And again, it was kind of frustrating. And I was talking to somebody else who had just started to play pickleball, and they were like, yeah, I was too confused. They play tennis too. They're like, it's just too confusing. And I quit. And I thought to myself, I don't want that to be me, right? I want to kind of push through and really understand the game, because while it feels weird right now, I think if I play more often, I'll get to a place where I really love this, right? And so sometimes I think when you're pursuing a goal that you've never had before, you have to try new things in order to achieve it. That's just kind of the way it goes. You want to try something new in life. You have a new goal, whether it has to do with your health, whether it has to do with finances, whether it has to do with the workplace or your family. New goals are going to require you to try new things. It might be a new skill you have to develop, a new mindset. You might need new connections, new commitments, new habits, new schedule. It's going to require new things. And the most unfortunate thing that I think that sometimes can happen to people is that they limit themselves by becoming afraid to try anything new, right? To even give it a chance. And so these are kind of like, I'm going to format this in the form of questions, 4 critical questions that I think that you need to be able to answer yes to if you want to be successful
Trying something new.
At trying something new, right? And so again, whether you want to lose weight or get a raise at work or write a book or launch a new idea or launch a company or start a side hustle, learn new technology, like you said, learning reels. I'm in that same boat with you. It's been very frustrating for me. I think these are 4 critical questions if you ultimately want to be successful, right? Okay. So number 1 is, are you willing to be uncomfortable?
Yeah.
This is the most obvious one. New is uncomfortable.
Yep.
You're going to lack confidence. You're going to be in the land of the unknown, right, for some time. We've talked a lot over the past couple months on this podcast about these 5 C's, but I like going back to them because it kind of creates this framework for how this whole process works, right? Because you start with, thanks to you, a conviction, right? A dream, this internal burning that you need to do something, right? And then you have to make that commitment. After that, you have to have courage because you're trying something that you have no probably skill set at, right? So you have to live in that stage of courage until you develop a new competency, and then you get the confidence. And like we've talked about, most people want the confidence before they start, but it just doesn't work that way. Confidence is last for a reason. You're going to be uncomfortable whenever you're trying something new.
Right. And you almost have to just know that, so that when you feel that, it's not a no to the new. It's not a, this isn't the right path. It's not any of that. It's just, that's the nature of trying something new.
That's right. The question is not, will I feel uncomfortable or not? You're going to. The question is, are you willing to live inside of that uncomfort long enough to get to the next stage?
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
So are you willing to be uncomfortable? The second thing you have to be able to say yes to is, are you willing to feel self-conscious?
Ugh.
And when you start something new, you're probably going to feel shaky and out of place.
Yeah.
So like for me with pickleball, everything felt weird. The paddle felt weird.
Yeah.
The ball's like a wiffle ball. And in tennis, you can barely hit a tennis ball and the ball goes flying. In pickleball, you smack the crap out of that ball. It doesn't feel right. It's like the person is standing 10 feet away from me, and I'm going to hit this ball almost as hard as I can.
Yeah. And there's like an 89-year-old who's going to kick your butt.
Yes. It's humbling. You feel very self-conscious out there. You don't know where to stand. Like, am I standing in the right place? You got a partner, so you're like, oh my gosh, am I? You just feel really self-conscious. Yeah. You feel out of place.
It's super vulnerable.
Very.
Like, thinking about like making art or starting reels, like it's so vulnerable to say, hey, I'm trying. And I don't know why that's so hard for us to say, like, I'm trying something. and I'm not good at it yet. I don't know why, because we've all been there, but it's like it's such a scary like place to be in for me.
And for me, the first question, are you willing to be uncomfortable? I can almost always answer yes to. So take Reels, for example, since we've been trying to learn that. I have no problem being uncomfortable with that process. It takes me forever to post a reel, and it ticks me off, but I'm willing to do it, right? The second question, though, hits me deeper when it comes to Reels.
Me too.
Of this feeling of being self-conscious, because I feel very self-conscious just talking to a camera.
Yes.
Like,
and self-conscious that people will receive it.
Yes.
And think that, like,
yes.
Oh, who's this guy think he is? Or who's she to make a reel that she thinks is funny? That's not funny.
Yeah. And this is where we tend to gravitate towards things that we already feel like we're competent in. So we don't have to wrestle with the humiliating task of trying something and being reminded that we actually haven't developed a competency or a skill that well yet. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens in this stage. I've thought a lot about our daughter Pepper when thinking about this, because kids, for the most part, I don't think wrestle with this whole self-conscious thing when it comes to trying something new.
Yeah.
Like right now, I feel like every day our daughter's trying something new.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like she's just now learned to walk. She can't do it like everyone else can do it. You know, it's going to take her months and months of practice, but she'll still try it. She'll try dozens of new things a day, because she hasn't really learned to be self-conscious about failing or not doing them adequate. Mm-hmm. I don't think she feels weird about the fact that she can only take about 5 solid steps and then falls down. She's not afraid of how she looks when she tries and doesn't succeed, so she just keeps trying over and over and over until she finally masters it.
Right. Yeah, it's like if we would take that in our own lives and say, if you just keep doing it over and over and over, you will master it.
That's right.
You know, or
it's
close
repetition.
to it. It's just repetition. But because you see that if we're doing science experiments here and like little babies and toddlers who haven't learned the shame, embarrassment of failing, and we say you don't actually fail, but of not accomplishing what you thought you'd accomplish. And we just see it right in front of our faces with kids and people who kind of have that confidence anyways, of just not caring and pushing forward. And any of those really like incredible stories of people starting something new, any of those documentaries or whatever of whomever who's just like climbed some ladder somewhere, they all talk about how they had to just put out the people who said no.
Yeah.
They had to just go for it. And it's so easy to see that and be like, oh, yeah, because you've seen their success now.
Yeah.
But when you're the one taking those steps and falling, you don't have the light at the end of that tunnel. You just have to hope that the repetition brings success. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, it's a real thing. There's a lot of people that I'll coach that are in some kind of new role, right? And so they're learning new skills, they're working with new people, and they're battling those feelings of feeling self-conscious. Mm-hmm. And I always remind, of course you feel a little bit out of place. This is all new to you.
Yeah.
The processes, some of the skills might be new. The people around you are new. Like, I think this is just part of the process of trying anything new. But you have to be okay with having that season where A, you're going to be uncomfortable, and B, you're going to feel self-conscious because you haven't mastered the competency part yet.
Yeah. And I think more than we even realize, the people around us have more grace for us than we even think we do.
Oh, for sure.
They do when you're in that season. Like we went to a new restaurant the other week and I knew they were new. And so I wasn't expecting this like perfect experience. I knew that they're working through kinks. And so that's going to be kind of what I'm expecting. Mm-hmm. And they think people are going to come in and just be super upset that the wait was longer and it took longer to get the pizza and whatever else. But people are there wanting to support them anyways. And so I think we also have to remember that, like, A, having grace for yourself, and B, realizing that people around you probably have more grace for you than you think when you are starting something new, if they're the healthy like community around you. But anyway, that's good.
So third critical question, and this is a tough one, is are you willing to be misunderstood? Mm-mm. If you want to get successful at trying something new, you have to be okay with being misunderstood. Yeah. There are always going to be people who misunderstand your motives for wanting to try something new, for wanting to start something new. Your moves will be misunderstood by the people who are not meant to be on this particular part of your journey. You have to be okay with that. That not everybody in your life is going to come on this journey. You're making a choice to go on this journey, to try something new. yes, you'll feel a lot more comfortable if there are people who go with you on this journey, but it's not their responsibility to venture into this new thing with you. Maybe they will. Maybe you invite them. Maybe you don't. Either way, they're probably going to misunderstand you. And one of the things I've noticed is that people tend to get very uncomfortable when somebody else is growing and they're not.
Yep.
Right? Have you seen
Absolutely.
that?
Oh, totally. I mean, I think that's obviously super heightened by social media because we see a highlight reel of people's lives, but that's an easy place to watch people grow and start new jobs and have more kids and have this bigger house and nicer cars. And it's like, again, though, they're like, oh, well, I'm starting a new company. And you're like, well, why? Because you need more, you want more. You just immediately, your mind goes to the worst. And I think it's really sad that we have that like constant issue with social media. But yeah, I mean, I think that happens all the time. And even in my most self-conscious state, like I remember right after having Pepper and I just had baby weight on me and I see people around me like losing weight and looking great. And I was critical in my mind of them thinking like, why do you care so much? And it's like, because I care so much, because I care. I want to feel good again and all that. And not saying that baby weight makes you not feel good, but I knew I just needed to be more active for myself.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I think it says a lot about the person who is kind of casting that shade. But being misunderstood is really challenging. And because you basically have to give up your desire to convince people otherwise. And that energy that you would use to convince people is much better used to be chasing whatever dream you're chasing, and putting that towards your attempt at starting these new things and not explaining yourself. There's something really cool about someone just being like, this is me and this is what I'm doing. And I don't need to explain that to you, Susan, in Connecticut. Like it's fun to just be like, this is who I am. And it's so like, it's just, I don't know. It's very energizing to be around those types of people, but it is so hard to be okay with it.
It is hard. I think the most painful thing is when you're misunderstood by somebody you admire. That's when it kind of hits me. I'm kind of used to being misunderstood most of my life in different areas. But when there's somebody I really admire and they misunderstand my motives or why I'm trying this new thing, that stings a little more. Mm-hmm. But again, you have to be okay with the fact that this is your journey, not their journey.
Yeah.
Right? And, I think, here's my tip. Don't waste a bit of your time or your energy trying to convince people who are committed to misunderstanding you.
Yes.
And there are plenty of people in your life right now who are committed to misunderstanding you. It doesn't matter what you do or how you do it. They're committed to misunderstanding you. Yeah. Those people, it's not worth your time. It's not worth your effort. There are some people who you could literally say 50,000 words about why you're doing what you're doing, and they would misunderstand you. But there will also be people who understand you, who get you without you even saying a word. Mm-hmm. Look for those people.
Yep, exactly.
Right? Because those are the people that are most likely going to be on this particular journey with you.
Yep.
But it's a hard one. You got to be willing to be misunderstood.
Mm-hmm. It's really, really hard.
Yep. Fourth one, are you willing to commit to the long haul?
That's also really hard.
This is where it gets practical.
This is the hardest part for me.
Right? The biggest thing that separates people who struggle and give up new things and those who become successful at new things is simply commitment. It really comes down to that.
Yeah.
Right? You tried something new and you failed. Of course. Keep working. You tried and you didn't get the results that you originally thought you would get. Of course.
Keep going.
Keep working, right? Yeah. You tried and you had some early success. Don't get content. Keep working at it, right? Consistency and commitment are absolutely key whenever you're starting anything new, whether it's big or small.
Yeah, and I think it's a hard thing to experience when you haven't really started a big venture before, like really, set out on an attempt to do something new in a long time, because that feeling just, I don't know, it's really hard for me to overcome, like the day-to-day grind. Mm-hmm. We've started some things in our businesses where it's like, we had really big, fast dreams for them. and maybe something that we had started didn't take off like we thought. And we both were just like, we want to be done. You know, it's like, I don't know, maybe this isn't the right, product, or maybe this isn't the right offer, or maybe, whatever. And you just want to stop. And we don't. I'm not saying we won't ever, because I'm sure we'll fail in other ways in that realm. But I don't know. I just think it is the hardest part for me to keep I always say throwing noodles against the cabinet, because I always think that's how you know when they're ready. So like it feels like I'm just throwing noodles, or we're throwing noodles and seeing which ones stick. But it's really hard to have the energy to keep throwing when you don't know what's going to stick. I don't know. That's the hardest part for me, is the long-term grind, hoping that eventually one of those things turns into what you're wanting.
Yep. And is there a time to give up on something new? Sure. But my experience is the vast majority of people give up, give in, quit long before they've reached that place where it makes sense that they go ahead and throw their cards in. I mean, again, the vast majority of clients that I work with in coaching are people who are trying something new. It's why they need the coaching. Yeah. Right? They're wanting better work-life balance, or they're going after some massive goal they never, but it's something new that they're kind of moving into. Even if it's a mindset that needs to be new, they're moving into something new. Mm-hmm. And often when we kind of start talking about what's it going to take to get to where you want to be, they'll come back with, well, can you guarantee if I do these 4 or 5 things that I'm going to be successful at blank? Mm-hmm. And I usually have to say, no, I cannot guarantee you'll be successful. But it is a rare moment indeed that success comes without your willingness to get uncomfortable, to feel self-conscious, to be misunderstood, and to commit to something for the long haul. Mm-hmm. Those 4 things are almost always required. And so I'll turn this around real quick to all of you listening. My question is, what are you up to right now that requires you getting uncomfortable, feeling self-conscious, being misunderstood, and committed to the long haul? Like, what is it that you, and maybe you haven't even started it yet.
I was going to say that that would be where I would land, is because of those 4 questions. Yeah. I haven't started it yet. Like, those are so daunting to overcome that, like, I feel like a lot of us just sit in that idle state.
For sure. I mean, right now there are hundreds and hundreds of people that are listening that have, probably each one of them has a dozen or so ideas that are bouncing around in their head of things they've thought about trying, right? And there's a vast array of reasons why maybe you haven't stepped out and tried whatever it is that you want to try. Mm-hmm. Bottom line, really what we're talking about here is, I think a lot of people think if it's a great idea, if it's a great thing for them to try, it's just going to kind of land in their lap and it's going to be
natural
easy. You don't. That's not the way it works. We don't find success. You build success. You don't find happiness, right? It's not something you stumble into, right? Mm-hmm. You build it. You don't find freedom. You build freedom. And that's why we're always talking about the difference between a created life and a default life. The default life is never going to lead you to where you really want to be. It's the created life. It's the intentional life. It's the designed life. It's the purposeful life that eventually gets you to where you want to be. Yeah. And generally speaking, success in anything new is going to require that you're able to answer yes to all 4 of those questions, and that you're willing to get uncomfortable, to feel self-conscious, to be misunderstood, and to be committed to something for the long haul.
Yeah, and I think there's some comfort in these being such known quantities of starting something new, and knowing that everybody, for the most part, who started something new has felt those things.
Absolutely.
And so that to me is what's motivating. And it's actually kind of also energizing. Yeah. Like the discomfort, the feeling misunderstood, that doesn't feel great. But like when you are in that, you just have to remind yourself, well, this is because I'm starting something new. Like, just remind yourself of that. I often have to repeat like little phrases in my brain. Well, this is because of this, or don't worry about this. Like, that to me is such a cool energy to live off of saying, yeah, I'm uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm misunderstood. Yeah, I'm self-conscious. But like, that's a good thing, because if you weren't those things probably in the moment, you'd be back where you started. And that's right. I don't know. I just think we should invite that discomfort, because the phrase forever and ever amen is life starts at the end of your comfort zone. But like, I believe that. Yeah. And I don't know. I think if we invite that, it feels a lot more doable than if we're like resistant to it.
It's a mindset shift, right? Yeah. And again, to go back to Pepper, what's so fun about her right now is when she tries something new and does it, the joy on her face. Yeah, the
Claps for
clapping,
herself.
this grin that literally almost touches her ears. You know, it's like, it's that feeling of accomplishment of, I tried something new. It was scary as crap, but I tried that. And yeah, my first few iterations of it were terrible. I didn't know how to do those exercises. I didn't know how to do this. I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
But man, the payoff was amazing. And so if anything, what I hope this will do for some of you is encourage you to try new things, right? Do new things, find new ways of doing things. It's a beautiful way of learning and growing. And I think life is just so much richer when you're willing to get out of that comfort zone, when you're willing to feel a little bit self-conscious, when you're willing to be misunderstood, when you're willing, what was the last point?
In long haul.
Yeah, when you're willing to stay with something even when you don't have that success immediately. Like, it just makes life richer. I mean, and I think the most regretful people I have ever met on planet Earth are those who felt a call. They felt a push, right, to try something new, to explore something new, and they never gave it their energy or their time.
Yeah.
Those are the most regretful people that I've met.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure obviously I'll get to the end of my life and wish I had probably done more things, but like I want to look back and think I did everything I really wanted and could.
Me too.
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
Yeah, me too. So try it,
Go try
whatever
new
it is.
things.
Yes. Please, and then tell us about it.
Yes.
I don't care how small it is. Try new food. Jordyn, maybe you tonight, we're going out to eat. Will you try new food?
I am not the most adventurous eater, and so he always tries to push me to eat new food. That's not going to push me to live a richer life.
Are you willing to be uncomfortable?
No.
Are you willing to feel self-conscious?
Nope.
Are you willing to be misunderstood?
Nope. Not for the long haul. Oh my gosh. No, I think that's really good and super practical. I love it can be little tiny things or huge things. And I think that's what is super fun, is just start with the little things first. Take your list and do the little things. And then you'll probably feel confidence and excitement and energy to tackle those big things. So I think it's really awesome.
I think I've just taught myself into continuing trying to figure out reels. I was so ready to give up.
Y'all, it's been such a struggle. You hate them. You hate making them.
I have a deep passionate
hatred.
dislike. It's a mindset thing. I've got to. It's a self-conscious thing. I've got to get over that.
That is the bigger thing. It's self-conscious. Anyways, we digress.
Yes.
You guys like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Follow us on social media so you can see our attempts at reels and see in real life how your first drafts at anything you're trying to are not very good. Just kidding. Yours are really good. I've had some that I'm just like embarrassed that they're even still up, to be honest with you. But anyways, that was a really helpful conversation for me. Very practical.
Good.
Well,
I'm glad.
That was another good talk. We'll work on that too.